Good evening. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to the final whistle. Look, don't adjust your screens. It has gotten prettier, not because, addition by subtraction. But like I like to say here, man, the Avengers aren't always one big movie. Sometimes you got your side movies, and this is one of them. So Dan had to be at the dance parlor tonight with the ladies were calling. Our man Chris James, apparently high school football has gotten so wussified that they can only practice when it's dark and not hot. They let us just die and pass out. They didn't care. So we are down an Avenger or two, but that don't mean the power's not here. That don't mean we don't have the Infinity Stones rocking. So, guys, we got a jam-packed, almost said badass out of the gate show for you tonight. We got Lou's topic that was on fire last week that we love coming back to you, the elephant in the room, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what that is after the Jam Miller news of the scrimmage this weekend. Then we're going to get into you talk about Infinity Stones, man. When those fall out, sometimes you're worried about Achilles heel. Is the kicking game the Achilles heel that gives Bama fans the most nightmares, the most heartburn, keeps you up at night? And is that going to be okay this year? I don't know. We're going to discuss that. On the same vein, those special teams, how about those guys returning the kicks, the guys deep back? Who do we like? Who is that shaping out? Do we like the names that are popping up there? There's a few, a name that's very notorious already around Bama circles that might be getting some play at the return game. We're going to talk about that. And are the young guns starting to upstage the vets at the capstone? I think Lou's got some hot takes on that. I know Van does as well. So, guys, buckle in. As always, though, before we get going, we're going to get on some sponsors. But let me introduce the guys with me, my Avengers. Lou Sean, the Enforcer. How you doing tonight, sir?
Well, I think I'm transferring from the Enforcer role. That's why I got Van now. I'm doing a little bit more. So I don't got to be as much muscle as I normally am. I mean, I'm still here with the muscle, but we got Van for that now. Petty, I'm doing great. We're about 1 week out, and we get to travel down to Florida, and we get to actually play some football. We do actually get some college football this weekend. It's not Bama, but pads will still be popping. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lucian Graves is excited. Let's go. Roll Tide, roll.
You have definitely grown into the Samuel role of this Avenger team, my man. With that said, I guess it was the newest Enforcer. He's put on the Hulk Buster armor for in game. I guess our man Van, never short on words. He just got called insane by maybe the most insane player to ever play for Alabama, Reuben Foster. So I don't know how to introduce anybody any better. Van Edwards, what is up, good sir?
Oh, man, it's fired up and excited. We're getting close to football season. I'm thinking about getting what Ruben said tattooed across my forehead. I want to prove crazy. In these crazy times where we've got male cheerleaders in the NFL and Auburn claiming championships from every 3 years that they didn't win, everything's confusing, but one thing stays the same, and that's that Bama is still the standard, boys, and we're going to keep proving it starting tonight.
Damn right, man. Van the man. And I am Daniel Petty, your host. And what in the Opelika hell is going on in the Plains? And what are they now? We got 9 national titles. What is that, like massage parlor national titles? Man, come on. What?
I thought they were equestrian titles at first, but then I didn't consider the rub and tug championships that you have talked about. And I'm like, they may take the cake on that.
Yeah, when you hire a man with the gifts of one Hugh Freeze, maybe those are the titles. Lou,
I don't really understand what happened. Like, it's like he went on eBay, got bored during one of his massages, saw something for sale, and said, "I'm just going to buy that," because I'm not really sure what I don't really understand what happened. How you can just claim one? You can do that now. I don't know. I'm going to stay silent on that, Petty.
All right. We can hammer Auburn as the season goes on. We'll have plenty of time because they're going to give us plenty of fodder, especially when they take their weird cult out to the Colt in Waco and somehow lose. Alan Biderman asked a fabulous question. Is the elephant in the room ever going to be about the Denny Dogs one of these weeks? Well, if it's not in Bryant-Denny Stadium week 1, I think it should be. Great question. That is an elephant. The elephant in the room is, has Alabama won a national title
Wow.
since Danny Dog left the stadium? Someone answer me that.
I don't know who this guy is, but I think he's your new best friend, because I think now that this is a thing that we're gonna have to get shirts made, Petty.
It's a move. It's an underground movement, brother.
If I don't do anything in my life outside of raising my kids to the Lord, my wife not, loving me, all that normal, the right stuff. Outside of that, outside of the real things, if I do anything in my life of substance, I want to be the man that started the charge that brings back the real Denny Dogs. And I know my Bryant Denny fans know what I'm talking about. They know what the real Denny Dog was. We all loved it. My wife loved it. Like, it's a horde thing, and my wife loved it. So it's you Bama fans know what I'm talking about. Look, we formed this thing up to death. Lou, I think we've got a request for the elephant in the room, but that's not what it is this week. It's going to be jam. But before we get to elephants in the room, let's talk about the infinity stone that powers this here show, and that is the Tidal towel. There's a wave rising in the south, and it's not the ocean. It's the Tidal towel, the ultimate symbol of Bama power, brought to you by WhitWillSports.com. Whether you're in Bryant Denny or repping from your living room, the Tidal towel brings the heat. Crimson, bold, unapologetically Alabama. And right now, you can wave yours for less. Use the promo code WHISTLE and check out and get 20% off at WhitWillSports.com today. Better hurry up. Games are coming. We're less than 2 weeks. Join the wave. Wave the power. Get your Tidal towel today at WhitWillSports.com. Tidal towel, Whitwill. We love you guys. Appreciate you here at the Final Whistle, of course. With that said, man, let's talk some Alabama football. Like I said, we're less than 2 weeks away. Probably the biggest news, DeBoer tried to skate over it, but it skated out late Saturday night that Jam Miller was injured. Injury was a little more significant than initially reported. And shoot, it's almost sound like it's grown since Saturday night. Dislocated collarbone. Initial reports 3 to 4 weeks. Now I'm hearing it's possible 7 weeks with this thing. But I mean, who knows? Regardless, what we do know is when we buckle up in Tallahassee, Jam Miller's not going to be running the ball, and that opens the door for what we believe to be a deeper running back room than we've had in a few years. But let's be real. It's a lot of unproven guys. It's a snapshot of Richard Young. It's the hope that Daniel Hill grows into something. Transfer Dre Washington can provide us a spark. So, guys, the elephant in the room, Jam Miller. Lou, what are your thoughts on losing Jam? What's the impact, and who steps up?
You cannot replace a Jam Miller, especially with what Kalen DeBoer and Coach Ryan Grubb has said about his leadership on and off the field, his work ethic, his physicality, and what he does on the field, whether that be running the ball, his pass protection. I mean, he's a downright professional. I mean, he's a veteran in the room. So we're not going to replace Jam. But at the University of Alabama, it's the next man up. And I think this is one of the rooms that we said in the springtime that we felt the most confident in. Now, none of us could have predicted the fact that Jam was going to get injured, but we all felt comfortable in the fact that we had multiple running backs that could get the job done, a la Richard Young, Daniel Hill, Dre Washington, Kevin Riley, A.K. Deere. Like, we have a deep stable of backs. So I am not worried in any aspect about Jam's injury. Is it a setback for him? Yes. I think it also gives opportunity. I also think that gives a little bit of motivation and hunger for guys to get a little bit better, because I mean there's a big portion now that's got to get divided amongst the room. So it's going to be interesting to see how the coaches do that, and I think we're going to see a lot of that in the next couple weeks.
You brought up a good point, man. You went even deeper than I did on the names there, Lou, and went into, like, even mentioning A.K. Deere. So again, I bring up then who does this possibly get carries that we might not have seen? Because again, I know the room is deep, but there's only so many balls, and you're going to get into a rotation, and eventually you're going to see one guy getting a line share, and maybe the second and third getting some carries. Who's that third guy that's going to benefit from this?
Well, I kind of want to take this in a different perspective. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster answer, but the backfield, the back room, it looks different without Jam's presence. And I'm not just talking about in carries, but like the stability he brings to blocking in the backfield, because the man's a monster picking up the blitz, helping the quarterback out. And when you're breaking in a new quarterback and you're trying to get him comfortable, and he don't have that mental time in his head quite yet, getting used to SEC ball, big time teams, you need that guy you can lean on back there. So we're going to see guys. We're going to see who steps up in that Florida State game. I think we'll see a lot of guys get play. From what I'm seeing in practices right now, Hill looks really good blocking. We all know he can catch. That's a big thing about him. Richard Young can do everything really well, and he's kind of a pick-me-up on the team from what the coaches are saying about him. Like he brings a boost and energy. You need them short yardage situations in practice. He's been able to come up with it, but it's not just about running the ball. Like I said, you got to be able to block and make sure that Ty's comfortable in this learning process. He's growing with the rest of the team. So, I expect to see a lot of guys in this game. I expect to see Hill, of course, Richard Young. I wouldn't be surprised of Washington, because he brings a lot of experience to the table. But I wouldn't be surprised if we even go past that. We might see an AK Deer. We may see some of these other guys that are younger that we weren't really expecting to see right off the bat, because I think the coach is going to want to see who steps up early to try to fill a role, because Jam's a big presence on that team.
I agree. And look, to say big presence, all we had heard all spring, all fall practice, meaning, Satan's den. Satan's sauna, but from all accounts, Jam Miller was having a great fall. Like he was really kind of, the running back room was going to look good, but he had separated himself as the guy. You had your hand up, Lou, and you can take it whatever way you want, but do you think it's good? Are we going to be by committee against Florida State, or do you think there's going to be one guy that kind of separates himself, and who is it if you think there's going to be one?
So, I was going to get into this, and that's actually a perfect segue with what I was going to say. I think it's going to be by committee. I don't think it's going to be one guy, and here's why. We got multiple guys in our backfield that have different types of body types. For instance, the starter who we're going to think is probably going to be the next man up is going to be Richard Young, who we all know to be a bowling ball. But the fact that Daniel Hill's 244 pounds, that's going to destroy their defense. As we already know, Florida State does not have an experienced defensive line. They're going to be breaking in some new defensive linemen. So tackling Daniel Hill and Richard Young in the first couple quarters and the first couple drives is not going to be what they want to do, especially when you got to change the pace back like a Dre Washington, who does have home run headed type of ability. He's got that one cut and boom, he's gone. Then you factor in the fact that now that Jam's gone, Kevin Riley's going to get a shake in. I've heard Ryan Grubb say that he is our probably most elusive back out of the backfield. So that in itself could play into, especially if those defensive linemen are on their heavy-footed and they're not being able to track the running back well. And then you factor in the freshman, A.K. Deer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All these guys have size enough to run. They all have different skill sets, and they all can gash a defense at any time. And especially when you got a quarterback like Ty Simpson, who's going to do nothing but try to facilitate and make plays, Ryan Grubb's going to put these guys in different positions to be successful, and not just be successful, make plays. They're instilling to these guys that pass protection and doing your job is prime. I think Coach Gillespie and Coach Grubb and Kalen DeBoer got these running backs right where they need to be. I don't think this injury is as big of a deal as everybody wants to play it on. I think it's an opportunity, and I think Alabama is going to play it like that.
There you go. I love that you pulled up this graphic, because there's that young man in the bottom middle. and I don't know if he's done it yet. He's the one that I think has possibly the highest ceiling of any of them in the group. And man, it's the Robert Foster measurable size or even Cadillac weight. He's built like that. And man, those are the running backs. I'm ready to see number 0 hit the field, but maybe not. Maybe it ain't time. Maybe this does give him a chance. We're going to see if it's going to be by committee. Again, there are guys in front of him. Hill, and Van, you said it perfectly. This world of college football or any football, the most important thing that never gets talked about, but most people do know these days, is you got to be able to block. And if you can't block, you don't get on the field as a running back. There's been a lot of great running backs that fans are like, why didn't he get on the field? He's a great running back. Well, he becomes because you know what's happening. You're running the ball because the other team also knows he's a liability blocking, and you're not having him in on passing down. So, like, it becomes so much more of a liability because it's telling what your offense is going to be when kids can't block. But so yeah, I think it's going to come down to who can protect Ty the best. But there's a lot of good options. I would not be shocked to see it sometime in the near future, though, to see a 2-headed Mississippi duo man in the Tide backfield. Fellas,
I would prefer a 2-headed Alabama duo, liking the Richardson and Ingram comparison, but I see what you're saying.
No, man, I could see the Hill Deer. Like, I could see that Hill Deer combo with the power and lightning. Lou's shaking his head. Yeah, look, man, I'm just trying to give the SIP some love since half the running back fields from there.
I like the running back by committee because these guys all have the power to push a pile. And what that can do to a defense in the SEC, it's not like we have light in the ass running backs like we've had in years past. All these guys are of weight to run and actually carry some weight. I think, and especially the way Ryan Grubb is talking about moving the ball down the field, if you're going to spread the field like I think he wants to spread the field, I think you're going to see a lot of these guys use because we've seen it. They're not scared to play freshmen. They're not scared to play young guys. And I think the more guys you play, the more experience you get is only going to play dividends down the field because, as you know, they made the playoffs longer. So the season's going to be longer. If you have more guys playing and being successful, you're going to be harder to plan for, and you're going to take stress off your own players if multiple guys are getting action, but you're still being successful and being able to move the ball down the field.
There you go. Good stuff, Lou. Lou, we usually we do question answers at the end, but I'll be honest, I like answering questions if they're completely pertinent to the topic at the time. So it's not just at the end we're answering a random question, having to think about it again. Oh, crap. Bam Dam Sports. Lou Sean, who do you think has the best hands out of the backfield? You're muted, brother.
From what I have heard, I would probably say Daniel Hill, just from what I've heard and what the players and what the coaches have highlighted about his skill set. I would say Daniel Hill right now.
There you go. All right, man. Van, Lou, anything else on the elephant in the room in this running back stable you want to add before we move on?
Just to stack on what Lou just said about Daniel Hill, and I think Richard Young's got good hands, and from what I've seen, Washington's got good hands. But that being able to pick up, the quarterback needs that safety blanket sometimes. That guy chips off the block, runs out real quick, a little easy out, somebody to get rid of the ball real quick too. And having good hands is important at running back, especially in this offense. So that's why I agree with Lou. I think it'll be running back by committee. All these guys are big, powerful runners, but they all have individual skill sets that they can play on the field on any down. So we're going to learn a lot more about them week 1.
There you go. It's getting very close, guys. We got a game in Ireland this Saturday that I'm sure everybody's just riveting and waiting for. But look, there's a position group that I think you could probably go to any fan base and say, hey, man, is there, and they would have one group that gives them nightmares year after year just because, regardless, what happens, even if you have an All American at the position one year, you had so many crazy ass things happen that, it just, again, you don't feel good about it until you feel good about it. And I think for Alabama, that's probably, again, we're kind of spoiled here in the capstone. We've always had good linebackers or defensive linemen go pro, or safeties, they win awards and go to the NFL. It's an embarrassment of riches, let's be real. But there is one position that will keep the Tide fan up at night, and that's kickers. I mean, our boy A.J. McCarron told you it got so bad in the locker room at one point, one got shit in his shoe. So kickers, we don't trust them until they do it. And we hear at the last scrimmage that our kicker has missed short 33, 44 yarders, which should be chip shots these days. Guys, is the Bama kicking game DeBoer's first foe? And how do y'all feel about it going into this season? Van, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Man, you pick the person that really don't pay attention to kickers very often, but I have looked into this more in the last 2 to 3 days than I've ever paid attention to kickers in my entire life. I'm dedicated to this, boys. And I am if I'm paying attention to the kickers. But from what I'm seeing about Connor Talty, who more than likely is going to be the kicker, I mean, it's his job to lose. He was a very high-rated kicker coming out of high school. At one point, 24/7 Sports had him rated like the number 2 kicker. He was a dual athlete at times coming out of St. Rita High in Chicago, Illinois. He's a good kicker. He sit behind Will Reichert and Graham Nicholson. I mean, he's learned from some great kickers. And I heard he had a mental lapse at practice. These things happen. What I want to know is, can he be consistent when it matters? Because you can't replicate game noise. It's going to be loud at Doak Walker Stadium. It's going to be loud anywhere he plays. So can he keep it mentally together? The coaches seem to think so. Jay Nunez, who's the special teams coordinator at Alabama, he said he had all the faith in the world in the guy. He said he had some growing up to do mentally back in the spring, but they had put him through his paces. They give him like 100 different field goal scenarios. He hit in the high 80 percentile. So, I mean, that's pretty good. But to be fair, I'm going to be mad if we have to kick that many field goals, guys. These are not going to be happy shows for me after games if I've got to see the kicker that much and it's not extra points.
Van, you made a great point. It's going to be a lot louder in Doak. And not only is it louder in Doak, apparently that stadium and earth sits on its axis weirder that makes field goals go wide right all the damn time in that stadium. Florida State has their own problems kicking field goals in that stadium. Lou, is this go ahead, man.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Doak Walker's loud. The fans get rowdy. It's a tough place to win at. Just ask Florida State. They hadn't had a lot of success there lately either. So, hey, it is what it is.
Zing. Lou, is this a position that gives you heartburn, and at what point do you feel good about it?
I mean,
or do you think about it until it's time to hate them or love them?
Listen, I kind of feel like a kicker is kind of like the guy that comes and checks your meter, your gas meter, every once in a while. He's useful. He needs to do his job, but you don't ever really think about him. So, especially when you have a good offense, you don't think about your kicker because all your kicker's doing is +1, +1, +1, +1. So, if our offense can keep our kicker in a +1 situation, which I believe they will, we're going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be an issue. Now, where we're going to run into trouble is if we put a lot of pressure on our kicker, which Alabama's not in the habit of doing. I know it's going to happen sometimes, but as of right now, I think there might be some other things that might be DeBoer's immediate foe rather than the kicking game, just because we do have so much returning on the offensive side of the football, whether that be on the offensive line. I know we got some guys banged up, but after hearing from Proctor and Grubb today, I think they got some confidence and we have some quality depth. The running backs are showing confidence. Our wide receiver room is one of the tops in the country. Ty Simpson is doing his thing. So I think I don't think our first foe is going to be kicking, because we here at Alabama don't depend on our kicker.
But when you do, it's a little wonky sometimes. Shit in the shoe. Jeremy Sanders, how many top-tier defenses will Bama face to force kicks? Well, Jeremy, funny you asked that, because my man Lou sent me a thing today that showed the top 25 defenses in all of college football. Bama doesn't play Texas, who they have at number 1. Bama doesn't play Bama, who they have at number 2. But then they do have a shit ton that follow. There's like 8 teams on this list that Bama faces that they believe will have top 25 defenses in the coming fall. That is the Tennessee Volunteers at number 4. They're really high on the balls. I do think they've recruited well there. You got Georgia. We don't play the Milkmen cheerleaders this year, right? Oklahoma, Missouri, South Carolina, LSU, Vanderbilt, and Auburn. So I think that's 8. Pulled it up. I didn't quit. Do this the new fashioned way, not the old fashioned way. So a bunch. What's that tell you guys?
Oklahoma.
Yep.
Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina,
Missouri,
Auburn,
LSU.
Yeah, we face a lot of top defenses.
Yeah, Vandy. Where did this list come from?
This is what they shared on the college football. This is a college football report.
That's interesting. That man, they're high on the tide.
I feel like I woke up in 1942 with Iowa and Minnesota
and Illinois.
Vandy, Illinois.
Dick Buckus walked through that door. Minnesota, that's the one. Like the 3 yards in the cloud of dust may make that look a little better. Auburn got player issues, says Jeremy Sanders. Auburn's on there too. That man, Handjob Hughes supposedly likes his team.
Not his quarterback. He wants to play all 3 of them in the first game, apparently.
Oh, is that what he said? It's crazy. Yeah. The lines moved in their favor a little bit. It was a pick out of the gate, and now Auburn is favored by 1.5.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Look, it's not. I don't. How often the games come down to kicking? I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And also, Van, to your point, I wouldn't over dramatize 2 kicks in the scrimmage. Now, again, the game situations are going to be tougher, but again, who knows, man? Crap happens.
But that goes in part of the team. Our team's got to have our kickers back. So if our kicker ain't doing his thing, our defense is going to step up and just get the ball back for our offense. Just like that. I have that much confidence in our defense that that's why I don't think our kicking game is going to be a big deal at all. Because even if it sucks, as long as our punter can punt the ball 45 yards, I think Alabama's going to be in great position this season.
There you go. I think the defense is going to be pretty dang good. Keeping in the vein of special teams, though, it also sounds like there's a few names that are starting to land the roles at both returner spots. I mean, it's both. I heard both names for both spots, and then there's another name that everybody loves that I think is going to pop also at the wide receiver position that's getting named. But who's going to be returning these deep kicks, punts, kick returns for Alabama? I'm not going to mention those names. I'm going to let them get going. I'm going to let you mention them, Lou. Again, this is a position that at times has been really dynamic. We dove into it this summer, and Lou, I think you did one of the most beautiful deep dives into the history of Alabama kick returners that's been seen. With that said, you also made a great correlation to when Bama's kicking game is top tier. Titles come too. Are we looking like we can return to that? And who are the guys that are going to do it?
So I'm gonna hit on one guy, and then I'll let Van hit on a guy, and then you can clean it up. Because let's do that. I'm gonna start off with a guy that got hurt, that started off on fire last season. This kid is a track dude. He is highly underrated. Nobody's talking about him, but he is a burner. He's been called a dog by his offensive coordinator, his teammates, offensive and defensive. Cole Adams. I am so excited for this dude to be back and to be healthy. He's going to turn our kick return game back to the clock to where Alabama's going to be successful in starting in plus field, what we call plus field territory, which is going to be important for our offense to already have the defense on their heels. If we push the ball up past a certain point, that defense already comes out there with some stress on their minds, and that's going to only pay it forward with our offense. Now, Cole has got a skill set that a whole lot of people don't have that you've seen, especially at his size. He is a physical runner, and he knows how to get in and out of his breaks when he's running his routes. They say he's one of the best route runners on the team, which also helps him weave in and out while he's doing the kick return thing. Petty, I'm telling you what, I would not be surprised if he breaks a few, because he's got that type of speed that if he gets a step, he gone. Flat out. Gone.
Well, I knew when the two names that were mentioned as the kind of the most steady so far, the names that seem to be kind of ascending to the top of that position. I know when I saw Cole Adams, you were the first person I thought of, Lou. I was like, man, that's who Lou was like when we've talked about this in the offseason. I was like, that's Lou's guy and who he was hoping to kind of see take over the position. Kind of sounds like he's doing a good job back there. However, there's another name that maybe not controversial, but maybe is controversial amongst the Bama nation. You know, Bama is a very prideful football fan base. And this kid's off season was a little tumultuous. And then it almost seemed like in the spring, he disappeared. And people are like, well, what happened? Is it all the craziness? But now fall camp rolls around and he's the other name you're hearing at the return position. Dan, what's your take on this guy?
Well, we've got to be talking about Jalen Mbakwe, a guy that me and you both are kind of excited about. Really, he's not getting a lot of talk from a lot of the fans. I see him pop up sporadically in coaching interviews and things like that. But something I have noticed about him, when he has the ball in his hands, he has great vision. And when you're going to be a punt or a kick returner, you need to have field vision to be able to see where your blocking's lined up, where your holes are at, and, how you can make the most of your yardage. So, he's a guy that I'm rooting for the kid. I think he can make an impact wherever he's going to be at. If he's kick return, punt return, if he sees action at wide receiver, I think he's a good enough athlete, smart enough player, great hands, great field vision. I think he can make an impact. Another guy that I wonder about, though, and I know we was picking one, and I'm trying to do the Chris James today, but do you think, and I'm kind of putting a question out there to you guys, do you think we could see a Rico Scott or a Latsier Brooks?
Well, Rico's the other name. He's the one. He's the third name that I'm hearing pop up everywhere, just because his name's popping. He's popping at wide receiver, and he's even in the return game. So no, I think Rico Scott absolutely could be a name we see back there at punt returner at some point, or even kick returner. I think the dude is an athlete. I think he's a guy he's just a ball player, man. He's one of those dudes that you put on the field and he makes plays.
Well, and at the same time, too, as being an athlete and a ball player, you have to have responsibility and be able to secure the football. So the fact that the coaches are trusting him to be able to secure the punt or the kickoff or whatever they decide to put him at speaks dividends to him as a young player, earning the coaching staff's respect to be able to give him the job to do that, because that's a huge responsibility. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. How many muff punts have cost teams games? A lot. So it's going to be big. It's going to be crucial to see who they stick back there.
It is, and look, to your point, Van, the player I pinned on you, Mbakwe. I mean, look. This is where two things can be true at once, and we don't have to live in just a black and white society. There's a lot of gray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is in this era the things that kind of make our stomach turn with all the flirting with other schools. The thing, because the things we love about our colors or whatever is when you go to that school, you're pretty much tattooing it on your soul. Be Psi, right? And we're in this era now where that's not. We're having to accept that's not necessarily the case. That not every kid's here because of the love of the A or whatever, and the all season flirtation. So again, when I'm getting the point of the two things can be true, yeah, does that rub us the wrong way? Yes. But on the flip side, that doesn't take away from what you're talking about. The kid was a quarterback in high school. What's that? I mean, that's like your shortstop. That means he can pretty much play any position. He's a freaking athlete. If he was a quarterback in high school, can play DB at the college level or get recruited to that Alabama, but then have the talent to kind of almost demand to say, I want to play at receiver, and the coach say, yeah, we don't want you to leave. We give you that opportunity. I'm saying there's something in there. There's some talent in that damn bank. I refuse to believe otherwise. So again, two things can be true. Is it part of the world we don't like of college football now, rubbed us wrong and all this? And yeah, can he still help the program and if given the opportunity? Yeah. So I mean, maybe this is his chance. In Mbakwe, I talked about it I think last week. I think the Alabama receiving room's too deep for him to break into it this year, especially given what we're hearing about the freshman Lancier Brooks, but the guy we're talking about, Rico Scott, and what he's been able to do. But that don't mean that this can't be his chance to make a big impact at the special teams position, and I do think he's special.
Well said.
But anything, I mean, this is a crucial position, though, Lou, and I want to go back to what we talked about this summer a little bit, though. How important is it, though, and can it be, or can it get back to that, to a team being, break down we say it all the time. You got to have a great defensive line to win a national title. You got to have a great offensive line, but special teams do those are that one little play here and there that you remember forever, the onside kick from Saban, the big kick returns or whatever. So again, like a long-winded saying, you did a great research on this off season. Do these guys have that talent? Can this be a position of power or a position of a game changer for Alabama?
I think there's a lot of speed that is not utilized in starting positions. I think there's a lot of athleticism that's not utilized in starting positions. But most importantly, we have a head coach that knows how to utilize talent when he sees it. We've seen it at every stop. He's been able to utilize the talent around him to put his team in the best position to be successful. And I know we gave you guys 3 guys that they're talking about right now, but there's things that the coaching staff doesn't tell us. There might be 1 or 2 guys that they're keeping on the back burner that, okay, we got guys that can secure the football, but then we have guys that can go make a play, because a charge play, a surprise play, a splash play in the kick return game can fully charge an entire team that's dormant, because especially Alabama's been dormant when we go on the road. Say we're in a road game, our offense isn't clicking, our defense isn't doing too well, and you know what can spark us? The return game. Mm-hmm. That return game has so many times in Alabama history turned it around and led to straight-up national titles. We could talk about the Clemson national championship game when Kenyon Drake took that freaking kick up the sideline. Like, that in itself right there, the kick return game is slept on. It's important to secure the punts, but if you got a guy that can put that much pressure, that much more pressure on a defense than your offense is, that head coach is going to have more headaches. And the more headaches we can give an offensive coach, and most importantly, an opposing head coach, it's just going to spell W's for Bama, baby.
Love the way you finish that. Well, RTR Dirt Road, man, we've got, man, the chat's popping, by the way. I don't know if y'all paid attention. Latoya always over there. Yeah, that Drake 95 that return was the stuff of legends. Van Dam kicking it in there. Kimberly, Dirt Road, Steven, Jeff, man, we appreciate all you guys. I'm sure all you loyal fans that hit that subscribe and like, but if there's anybody in the chat that hasn't, hit that like and subscribe button for us right now. We are so close to the promised land of getting paid so we can get our name on the list with Hugh Freeze at the local massage. No, I'm just kidding. We don't go to
He's
Lee
joking,
County.
honey. I would
But
never.
I'm not. I've got wanted posters in Lee County, and I don't go to that stinking place no way. So that's not what we would use it for. Roll Tide, Kimberly. Roll Tide, all you guys. We love you. Like I said, hit that like and subscribe. But no, Lou couldn't be said any better. Those are like some of the biggest memories of Alabama football are huge special team plays. So again, the Drake 95 being one. And not just that. I know we're talking about returners, the onside of sex. I mean, those are the moments. Woo! With that said, Lou, I feel like Alabama's identity was in such a state of flux last year, and everybody knew it. And it's still like, but you can't accept it because we're Alabama, and Alabama's just supposed to be Alabama, and it ticks on. Well, that's not the way it's going to be when the greatest of all time leaves. And then you got a new coach coming in that his history. This dude's a damn winner. What's up?
I want to address something.
What's up?
There was a guy that went on a show. I don't know if it was yesterday or today with Feinbaum, saying that if Deion would have taken over the Alabama Crimson, okay, I'm here to say, and I'm gonna drop something that I don't normally drop. That is total and utter bullshit. And we're gonna show you. This season is gonna be Kalen DeBoer's coming out party, Kane Womack's coming out party. The Alabama Tide are gonna reintroduce themselves to college football this season. And it starts next Saturday. I'm going to tell you what. I think everyone hating on us, disrespecting us, just keep adding it to the fire. And I think the people that are going to hurt the most from that is going to be Florida State week 1. Because as we heard our coaches say, and I heard Josh Pate say on his show, that last scrimmage Alabama had did not look like a scrimmage. They were hitting. And they were hitting hard. Full Diddy intended. Like, they were not pulling stops out. So the fact that they're hitting each other like that, what do you think is going to happen to their opponents? These guys are tired of it. They're tired of the nation hating on them. And you know what? It's football season. And Kalen DeBoer is about that. Oh, we're going to show up and prove it life. Because he's done nothing but that in his track record. So I not only trust the man and have faith in the man, I'm excited to see how big of a tear he's going to tear in college football this season.
Yeah, and that was that. My buildup was like, yeah, he took over, and there was some turmoil, players wanting to leave. But now this team is Alabama now. There's not players leaving. They're pulling one direction. This B-Sci-Fi, all that. This identity has become, but it's been an influx because these young guys aren't. It's now not leftover Saban players, Washington players that he brought with him, a few new recruits and whatever. No, it's back to Alabama again, and that was getting into the whole, and a lot of that's these young guys that have brought in. He wasn't going to recruit down here, but all these young guys that are freaking studs, the Latsier Brooks that that we're hearing about. But yeah, the whole Deion thing. Deion is a great marketer. He's a great name. He produced some talented offspring. But look, man, like I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. When he took the job at Jackson State, I was kind of intrigued that one of the greatest athletes, arguably the top 2 greatest athletes in our life, Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders, is now coaching at Jackson State. This ought to be entertaining. And holy crap, he just signed the #1 player in high school football to go to a historically black college. That's never happened. I know Walter Payton came from that school, but he wasn't the #1 recruit. They didn't know who he was. He just showed out once he got there. But I watched Jackson State, and Prime had literally the #1 player in high school, which he should have been able to run rug shot over that league with, his son at quarterback, and he was winning games like 14-12. Kalen DeBoer has dominated every level he's been at. Like, to say like that, oh man, that is such a farce. Until Dion proves he can do something other than be a great marketer, which you can't deny. The money that got brought into to Colorado was undeniable. They were bringing in millions and millions. But you know what they weren't bringing in? Wins. They got their ass kicked by BYU in a bowl game. That's not what we do at Alabama. Look, we were pissed at a 9-win season last year that resulted in a loss to Michigan that was ugly. And the fans, and again, that I'm not putting that on DeBoer. I'm putting that on but that's a 9-win season. Like what Dion would have done, he wouldn't have pulled a 9-win season with that program last year. Again, look, watch DeBoer. He's getting comfortable. There's a reason he's getting comfortable because this is now he's in his skin. This is fully his team. There's no more of the BS of all just trying to keep shit together last year with all the cancers that were in the locker room that we heard about. No, this is it. So people pulling in that just to bring up stupid rhetoric, like they're going to find out real quick when Alabama's playing for the national title or in the Final Four this year. The whole DeBoer rhetoric is going to be gone.
My thing is, does he not realize that he is undefeated against Dan Lanning, Sark, and Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
With Washington. Just throw that out there, Stephen.
And he won 9 games with a quarterback that fit his system about like Hugh Freeze.
Square peg fits a round hole.
Yeah, I was going to say something worse. All right. With that said, in that, and the fact that DeBoer seems like he's gotten this, we're all pulling in the same direction. Sounds like some of this rising talent, some of these young guns, these future stars are kind of starting to upstage some of the guys that have been here for a minute. Lou, I know this is your baby right here. Go on. Let me hear it.
So listen, guys. Everybody knows that I am an advocate for playing freshmen. Play the young guys, especially in a transfer era. You need to keep these guys hungry. You need to keep these guys well fed. If they're earning time, if they're good enough to get on the field, you got to play these guys. And I absolutely love what I heard from Kane Womack and some of these defensive guys in their interviews the other day, saying that they're not only seeing freshmen play and pick up the system, they're seeing freshmen thrive in the system. Tim Keenan talking about 2 young guys that we're all really excited about. Jeremiah Beeman and Isaiah Fega. He highlighted those guys in an interview, saying those guys have come a long way in a year, that he's excited to see what they do on the field. These guys have gotten stronger. They're big. They're quicker than what they look. I'm telling you guys, we got a few other guys on our defense that I want to highlight. And one in particular, and then I'm going to let Van take it. But I'm going to go to my guy, Dijon Lee, because I labeled this dude when he first said he was coming to Alabama. This guy is a type of athlete that's going to change our defense, not just because of his size, because of his technique and his aggressiveness and how he can just put himself in a position between himself, the ball, and the opposing wide receiver. And the fact that he's been able to come in and take snaps with the ones speaks dividends to the fact that we have a very, very, very skillful secondary. And it's highlighted by nothing but young players. Because everybody might forget Xavier Brown is a sophomore. He was a true freshman last year. So he still kind of counts as a young guy. At the same time, he's acting like a vet, bringing Dijon Lee along and some of those other guys like Chuck McDonald in that room along to where they need to be, to where Alabama can stay at a prime position no matter who's out there. Van, I know there's a couple other guys. Who did I miss?
Sir, there's so many that we could bring up right now that are rocking it at practice. I mean, so many. But for me, you've already mentioned his name. I think Isaiah Fega is a guy that by the end of this season will be talked about as one of the biggest stars of this team. Fantastic handwork against the blockers, man. He's so physically strong. He pushes guys around. He's bull rushing, but he fills that gap. And, you know, nose is not an easy thing to play in college football. No diddy. But I think he's the guy that's got the pedigree to come in here and make an impact early. And we could have really went down this list with 15 or 20 guys, because if you're watching the practice films right now and you're listening to the coach interviews, man, they're all over the place. Like, they're mentioning young freshmen and sophomore guys that are getting in there mixing it up and just showing out. So this team could have a youth movement, and they got an attitude. They got a chip on their shoulder.
They do. And you're muted, Lou. Let it rip.
Because I forgot too the fact that to highlight another sophomore, Zay Mincy. He's a year 2 guy, but he was starting for us in the bowl game, so he quickly grew up too. And I've heard Kane Womack say that dude is having a fantastic camp. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we have so much depth at safety, especially with some of these new looks, I've heard them get in. This is going to be very, very dangerous defense going forward. And it's going to be highlighted with nothing but young stars, because it's going to be pushing our defense, because these young guys are not letting the coach keep them on the bench because they're doing so well in practice. They're being so competitive. They're being so physical. Another guy that we forgot to mention, London Simmons, summer enrollee to come in and to actually make serious waves. These are some of the waves we thought some of the other players on our team that came in that are highly ranked would have made. But the fact that he has come in and made this impact in such short of a time, I'm telling you, we're going to have a lot of young guys. And I think we're getting back to that rotation fact that we're going to have 8 or 9, maybe even 10 guys on our defensive line. Get it in there, because you have a healthy rotation, keeping guys healthy. The defense is just going to be aggressive for 4 quarters. And that's what Kane Womack wants. That's what swarm defense is, ladies and gentlemen.
And outside of the 2 guys that I don't know if there's 2 players I've been more excited about seeing that were freshmen. I know we've had a lot of great ones, a lot of 5-stars, yada yada, but I mean, it's almost grown mythical, the stories about Dijon Lee and his abilities, and same with Otsir Brooks. But man, something caught me just then. You talking about London Simmons and what. You know, when Bama also wins championships, when they cherry picked what they wanted out of Mississippi. And we've talked about several Mississippi kids that are making young, and we're talking about young guys right now that are making impacts. Daniel Hill, A.K. Deere has a shot, you know, and now we're talking about London Simmons. I'm sorry, I'm a Mississippi guy, and I noticed it because Alabama was always so good about cherry picking Mississippi for players they wanted. But in Bama's best days, they cherry picked the hell out of that state, and it sounds like they've done it again with some young guys that are kind of going to step up. But I don't know. That's just a casual observation. It just hit me. I'm like, Bama's cherry picking Mississippi again. Here we go. That's a recipe for titles.
We also can't forget on the offensive line too. All I've heard out of Proctor and Grubb is Michael Carroll.
Yeah, that kid's gonna be
this. This one goes out for Dan James, because Dan James loves Michael Carroll probably more than I do. Me and Dan talked about Michael Carroll last year before this kid even got there, how violent and how aggressive he was, and it's starting to show through. We've seen him move from tackle. We've also seen him line up at guard with that second team. And since one of our guards is banged up right now, and they're not sure, one of our guards has had some struggles. I know one thing's for sure. They better be on their P's and Q's, because once Michael Carroll gets in there and bullies somebody, it's going to be a Tyler Booker situation all over again. Like we said.
Formby better. He's one that could get pushed.
Yeah, like Michael Carroll is here. He's not only here, he's in campus, and he is on standby. So if our offensive line has any holes in it, we're going to put that 6'6" monster in there and let him just bully people. Because if the coaches have this much confidence in him, and the quarterback has this much confidence in him, and his teammates on that line have that much confidence in him, let it fly. Because as far as physical, offensive linemen in the SEC, I don't want no soft, cushy little. I don't want to say no names, but we all know what offensive lineman type we've had that are soft and cushy. I need an Emil Ekiyor, Tyler Booker, mean, beat your ass into the ground type of guard or tackle, whichever way he wants to swing it. But I'm telling you what, Michael Carroll is coming on the offense. Not to mention or forget, a guy who actually changed his number from 18 to 14 in Marshall Pritchett. I have heard this kid is going to be good. Not going to just be good. He's going to make an impact. We've already highlighted the fact that he might even be able to run the best routes right now. But once he gets acclimated and he's put on the weight, the kid's 248 pounds. He's an SEC tight end. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. And he can run. I'm telling you, we got some young guys.
Sorry for a small break in this action. The long run with Piano Man says, at Chris, who was Hugh Freeze fussing at the other day? I'm assuming at practice. That was his massage parlor schedule accountant. And his burner phone passer router. Chris is in here. Apparently Auburn has won another national title since we've started the show. That's nice. I guess it was another successful day at the massage parlors.
It was a thank you for showing up to lose to Houston in the 2021 bowl game, their last bowl game, if I remember correctly. Consolation prize.
Is Chris Williams talking about selling massage parlor videos? Because
I thought it was Maryland. God bless
I don't want to see that. I'm good.
Look, man, we've addressed the young, but let's be real. Is there? I mean, between Latsier and who you more excited about, Latsier or Dijon?
Mm-hmm. Honestly,
I'll go Lou.
No, go ahead. Go Van.
Look, I'm excited about both, but Dijon Lee looks like that next great cornerback at Alabama that we've seen go pro. I mean, this dude's a freak athlete, man. To be that size, to play the way he does, the hip fluidity, the way his footwork and the way he tracks the ball, it's only a matter of time, guys. He's going to take off.
Lou? Van, answer again.
Between those two,
yeah, there's a lot, but let's be real. Those two we've given the most fanfare. I feel like they've gotten the most fanfare to this point.
I'm going to say just because of the way it's going to break down, and I think he's going to have a little bit more of a chance just to operate and be in more one-on-one situations, Dijon Lee, because he is not just a cover guy. He's not just a defender. He's going to erase some people in the run game and in the jet sweep game because people aren't going to be ready for his size. Like, once you actually stand next to somebody that's actually 6'4", and I know me and Van can attest to this, once you're at that height and you're at a corner position and you're as physical as a young man like that is, that's gonna dwell in some wide receiver's head if you get popped, the first couple series of that game by a guy that's 6'4", 200 plus, and he's playing cornerback. Like, that in itself, because it's like, okay, if all else fails, he's slow. Let's just throw a jump ball. That's not going to work. And he's not slow.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, give me Dijon Lee, because in Kane Womack's defense, he's going to be probably moved around a little bit more than Latier Brooks and Ryan Grubb's offense this season. Now, I'm not talking for the future, but as it breaks out this season, I think Dijon Lee is going to be more intricate in the defensive scheme than Latier Brooks will be in our offensive scheme. Not saying that Latier Brooks isn't going to have an amazing year one, because I think he's going to. I just think Dijon Muster gonna do some people up.
I echo that, Lou. I think Lee's the one I'm most excited, just because his measurables. And again, pretty close with a former All-SEC cornerback from Alabama, and I've heard him yap enough about this kid and what he could do, and mainly because he was out of the gate. Most kids that size don't work at quarterback because they're too lanky, they're too rangy, they're not quick twitch enough to play corner, and this kid is. And that's what kind of really intrigues me, for him to have a size that normally doesn't fit the position, but the skill set to fit it usually leads to a freak. And yeah, I'm kind of expecting some freak stuff. But that said, man, it's been a hell of a show. Huh?
Side note. Next year we got a one that's coming in the number one corner at 6'3" plus.
Auburn revenge story, man. Chris is fired up, man. Auburn, he's pumped up. He said Auburn is going to be scary, and I'm not. I guess you're not talking about Indian burial ground stuff type of scare, but who knows?
What's a revenge tour? Are they playing New Mexico State this year?
Are they playing Maryland?
Are they playing the Tutwiler School or prison? Because I mean, they could have took an L there too.
Is Diego Pavia on your schedule for the 5th year? Is there a chance y'all lose to that guy for the 100th time? With that said, Lou, I think we had a few questions from the audience that we didn't get to during the show. You want to pop those up?
Got one right here.
Jeff Stapleton, what is Jeremy Bernard's ceiling, seeing that it is his last year? I actually like that question, but I'm gonna let you guys take it because I think it's first round. But Van, you want to start this one?
You know, he quietly had a great year last year, but Ryan Williams was such a big star coming out of high school that it kind of overshadowed his play, and that wasn't really fair to him, but that's how it went. I think with the addition of Isaiah Horton, he will quietly have another big year, even bigger year, because we're going to run more of a type of offense that Grubb and DeBoer like to run. I think you'll have a great year.
Well, and look, it didn't seem like Milroe really realized what he had in another blanket until later in the year, because it wasn't until later in the year he really started getting those receptions. But now with what Horton, I think, and Hollywood are going to be able to do, and the ability for Ty, I think, to get to his third progression, it's going to benefit him greatly. Lou, what do you see a ceiling at?
So, to me, I think he's going to do one thing that he hasn't done in his career. He's gonna score touchdowns this season, and I know a lot of people don't really factor in touchdowns, but I know the NFL does. Now, you see some guys that don't necessarily have a lot of yards, but they catch 10 touchdowns. They're going to get drafted, because when the NFL owner and NFL coaches are seeing a guy that can get in the pay dirt with maybe not having a bunch of catches, maybe not having a bunch of yards, but he's being effective when it counts, that's going to count. And I think last year, he might only had he only had 2 scores last year. And I think that is going to be significantly increased, especially with people not being able to double team him and him having to run a 35-yard dig to try to, for our quarterback to even see that he's even open. I think he's going to have a lot more looks. I think he's going to have a lot more easy looks, which is going to result in him getting in the end zone a lot, because people are going to be focused on Ryan Williams. Once Isaiah Horton starts doing his thing, they're not going to forget about Jeremy Bernard. But what it is Jeremy Bernard has such a game type and probably the best body control on the team, other than maybe probably a Cole Adams. He can put himself in a position to catch a football anywhere on the field. And the fact that he's going to be running against probably a nickel or quite possibly a safety in an end zone situation, Ty Simpson is going to see that, and he's going to hit that every time that he's got a mismatch. And I just think Jeremy Bernard probably gets to the end zone probably 8 to 10 times this season. So his ceiling could be probably late first round, early second round to me.
I agree with that. I think Bernard has a great year, and I think he's strong. He's going to the strength of this kid will shock some people. Chris Williams also just told me that he did not watch Ohio State play last year. All right. Next question, sir. Jeff Stapleton. What about Dre Kirkpatrick Jr.? I've heard good things about him too. I have heard Dre is putting himself in the rotation in the secondary. Lou?
He's I've heard he's been doing a lot of good things at Husky. Been playing physical. He's been, from what I saw in the film, he was number 2 to Day Jones. But as I heard today, that Jones was absent of practice, so Kirkpatrick was out there doing his thing. I think I read that Xavier Brown was in the nickel. So it's these guys are getting trained in multiple positions, and the fact that Drake Kirkpatrick's even getting burned with any of these guys with this type of talent is going. He's going to see the field. Drake Kirkpatrick's going to see the field this season. I'll look for him to make an impact whenever he's on the field. That's a high energy guy. He plays physical, and plus that's Bama elite right there.
Mm-hmm.
DNA don't lie. Anything to add to that, Van?
Man, speaking of DNA, I was playing for a high school team, Fort Payne, when we played Gadsden City, where his dad was playing at. So first of all, it makes me feel old. Number 2, he out-athleted everybody we had. We realized we were super slow and not great, and probably most of us weren't going to go to college after watching him play for about a quarter. So, yeah, Drake Kirkpatrick's the man. His son has been lighting it up in practice from what I heard. I heard the coaches have a lot of trust in him. He's knowledgeable of the playbook. He's really, though, been attentive as far as keeping his eyes on the ball. They've brought that up over and over and over again, and him trying to create opportunities. And that's something we've been lacking at times. So a guy like that can step up and make a big difference in our defense this year.
Good stuff. Bam Dam Sports. Do y'all think Cade Caruth will see the field at all this season as a senior? Gentlemen?
To be honest, man, I hadn't heard a lot of talk about him. The focus really was going into fall practice. Ty, and then the backup roles and everything else. Austin Mack's been doing really well, and that's not a knock on Cade Caruth. We may see him play some mock-up duty this year, but you never really know, man. Like, guys pop up and do things. Coaches start seeing stuff out of them. I don't rule anybody out ever. I really don't, because you got there for a reason. You don't go to Alabama and be an untalented player.
No doubt, man. We've seen seasons where it gets crazy, and it'll get deep on that roster. If we do, I'll say this: some wheels started to come off though.
More than likely,
I don't see it happening. Just because if they're in a situation to give somebody some experience, it's going to be Keelan Russell, because they're thinking about the future. And I know that might come to, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying that if they're in a position to give Keelan Russell some quality time, they're going to give it to him. So
there you go. What we got? Chris actually threw a good one there at the end.
Yeah.
Well, hell, not the kind that falls out of the sky, but we're still going to go with it because this is a good question, Chris. That picture is hilarious. Will Hell play with all the receivers they have in Alabama, the receiver that got hurt? And that's a good question. Jalen Hill had a lot of hype going in the injury, but now this is one of those things we talk about all the time. Man, getting hurt at a team that's got a lot of talent can cost you at times, and I don't know if he falls into that category. So I'm gonna let y'all answer it. Did Hell getting hurt kind of make him fall back in the rotation, or do y'all think he has a chance to find his way back in it this fall?
Oh, he'll get in the rotation. He'll definitely get plays. I mean, he's a talented guy. That being said, we're so deep. I think we're going to see a lot of people because we have so many talented receivers that you can just keep hitting defenses with guys that do different things all the time, and you can just wear a defense out that way. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see Hell play. And it's not just hell that falls out of the sky. It's the kind you walk into when you get into Lee County. Chris Williams knows all about that.
Nice. Always love a good Lee County joke.
Oh,
Loveliest trailer park on the plains.
He'll play just because we're going to be stomping teams, and they're going to want to get work, and they're going to want to keep guys fresh. And I mean, he's the number 2 at I think behind Isaiah Horton right now. So yeah, he's going to see the field, and I think he's going to make an impact. I mean, everybody better go ahead and sleep on him, but he switched his number to the legendary number 8. You don't wear 8 if you can't catch a football at the University of Alabama. John Mechie taught us that. So if you're gonna wear 8, you a dog. And the fact that he wearing 8, that might be a sleeper receiver that ain't nobody even talking about. We got so many dudes realistically in our wide receiver room that aren't getting any acknowledgement right now nationally. I mean, Ryan Williams is a star. Don't get me wrong, but we got some guys in that room. I'm telling you what, they're about to turn some heads. They're about to see what happens when you got a quarterback that can facilitate.
So what we're saying, Chris, is he'll probably get in the rotation, which makes him better than Cam Coleman. All right, guys, do we need more? Is that it? Been one heck of a show. The train is on the tracks towards kickoff, fellas. We're getting there. We're heading towards Tallahassee, a place that I'm going to be real, man. I'm a 90s kid, 80s, 90s kid. Watched back in the day when you had Jefferson Pilot and only a few games. There was a lot of Florida State on the TV. This is a place I think a lot of Alabama fans my age have really looked forward to the opportunity to get to go watch a football game and Doak Campbell. So, man, we're getting there, and I think the tide is steaming up. So, buckle in. Hit that like and subscribe if you hadn't. Come on, man. We have had good numbers tonight. The chat has been bumping. A lot of new names, a lot of old names coming back. Chris is obviously ready for football season. He's been in the massage parlor chalking up them national championships left and right. The Bama fans are ready to see the tide roll, and the final whistle is here for it. Guys, we got big stuff coming up. We got Tyler Siskey coming game week. So, again, hit that like and subscribe. Oh, is it next week? Next week, we got Tyler Siskey in the house. So if you hadn't hit that subscribe button, do it now so you won't have to think about it. When you hit that subscribe button, you don't even have to think. It makes it easy. It just alerts, and you're like, oh, the Avengers are on. Oh, and Tyler Siskey's with them. Oh, I need to tell everybody I know to tune in right now. So do that.
Yeah, next weekend's our first game, Petty.
That's right. So next week is game week, isn't it?
That was that giant.
I'm from Mississippi. Math isn't.
But it says 8:30 right there. I made it glow for you because I know you from Mississippi.
Nice. 3:30 my time. You're even doing Eastern time. I love it. Guys, next time you see us, it will be game week. We will be with Mr. Tyler Siskey. With that said, we'll go around the room a little bit. Tell us how to like, subscribe, follow you, all that stuff, all the stuff I'm supposed to say. More than anything, like and subscribe, follow the show, and follow the guys. Lou, how do we get you, buddy?
You know, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Lucian Graves. You can find me on X at 456 Final Whistle or whatever is scrolling the Lucian down on the bottom of the screen. Guys, stay tuned to what's going on the Final Whistle Network, because next Saturday we will be dropping Saturday AM Scramble. It's a new show that we're going to be launching on Saturday mornings about all of college football. We're going to have some podcasters that aren't necessarily, not necessarily, they're not Alabama fans at all. We're going to have some enemies in the territory, but it's all in the good love. We're going to sit there and we're going to talk football. We're going to talk rivalries and everything that's good in college football every week, and we're going to go from there. So stay tuned for that. That's a Saturday AM Scramble. Next week, I'll have more on it, the graphics, and probably have a little bit more information on it. But as for me, roll dadgum Tide, ladies and gentlemen.
Dadgum Tide. Like Lou said, we got big stuff in store, so stay tuned. Van, when outside of wanted posters at the local. I don't even know what I was going to say. I had like 3 different things. They all merged into one. Van, how can we find you, bud?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I'm usually making memes about other SEC teams that I can't stand, and pumping out content for the final whistle and pumping the show. But I'd like to take this opportunity real quick to pump up some other shows that have been supporting us along the way. A lot of the guys have been in the chat. We've got The Long Run with fantastic Alabama content. We've got Bam Dam Sports, my boy Spencer and William and Icebox. They're killing it. KB, Kangaroo Black, which having some issues with YouTube right now, so you have to catch him on TikTok, but you can find him. Great stuff. Everybody knows the legend KB.
Was he in the chat?
He will be soon.
Okay.
I even want to thank everybody in the chat, even Chris Williams.
I love Chris.
You know, I think he's hilarious.
Chris Williams is our hero. Hey, Chris.
He is hilarious.
Chris, if you got a camera, I would love to get you on the Saturday AM Scramble represent Auburn.
Chris, we would.
And I don't even say that because I honestly I don't know an Auburn fan. I don't.
You know,
they all turned into Georgia fans.
So hey, this is an open invitation to Chris Williams or any other Auburn fan that wants to come talk Auburn football. We're gonna let you do it. We're gonna give you your time in the sun every week to talk about what you guys got going on down in HJville. So
there you go. And I'm your host, Daniel Petty. You can find me at Petty_Daniel. You can also find me on wanted posters in the local Lee County massage establishments. With that said, man, Lou said it best. We got a lot of stuff hopping, so please hit that like and subscribe. And more than anything, we appreciate your time tonight. A lot of transition, but the numbers are hopping up, so we know you're all hopping back aboard. So again, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We love you. We're going to end on those final. Well, we always say 2 words, and all of us end up using 3. So we're going to final saying that we like to finish, in Bama land. Roll damn Tide.
Roll Tide, but I'd also like to ask a question.
Oh yeah.
Is Auburn trying to fight Georgia for the most players that aren't going to be playing football this season? Just asking for a friend. Just asking. But like we said, roll daggum Tide.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know you could get a speeding ticket on a horse, but exactly, roll Tide, guys.
So is the Lee County mating call? Okay, nice. Roll Tide.